And we're live. Welcome everybody here to the Lakers Lounge live edition. As always, following these games, I'm Anthony Irwin, joined as usual by Raj Chapalu. Raj was running a little late tonight, and sat down and says, hey, I hadn't moved in 4 hours, and I needed to use the potty. And I was like, okay, no worries. And Raj, I want to start with a very important question here. The Lakers go on a run, right?
Right.
They at one point were down either double digits or close to double digits, and then they go on their run and they turn the game completely around. Is the reason you didn't move because they went on that run? You like, you didn't want to mess with anything at all in the
Yeah,
because of the way the Lakers were playing.
exactly. Yeah, I'm so like shaky while watching the game. So I was like, I'm not going to move. I can't get out of my spot. I'm set. My mic's in a good spot. Like the camera's, facing correctly. I do not want to move from this spot. And halftime felt like it went pretty quick actually too. So I was nervous. That was hell to sit through that first half. Even when we went on a can't even talk. We went on a 30-8 run. It still felt really nerve wracking. But yeah, did not move for like since the game started, which is at like 5:40. It's like 8:30 now, so like 3.5 hours, 3 hours. Yeah, so felt like four watching us defend Steph Curry for that first half.
Look, I'm not gonna lie, I'm just like you. So I started the game, because it was 7:30 my time that the game
Hmm.
started, right? And I went, picked up In and Out, put it down there at the dining room. My dining room, my seat at the dining room table, very specifically, I sit in that spot because on game nights I can look across the dining room table, ignore my family, and watch the Lakers game that's over there in the distance, right?
Uh-huh.
And so while I was sitting in that seat, the Lakers were getting their asses kicked. Like it looked bad. And I was like, all right, well, we got to put we got to put Avery to sleep. And by the way, like we have an important update on Avery that I got to share here in a bit. But the we're like, hey, we got to get Avery down for bed. I have to change like where I'm sitting here. I have to pour a drink. I hadn't had a drink yet. It's like I got to like the entire vibe around this game has to change immensely, right? And
Yeah.
it did. I went. So we have in our so we in Texas, because like our house is a new build, and all of these new builds have these like really wide open floor plans. And so instead of having it blocked off with like a dining room and then a kitchen and a living room and all that stuff, um, we actually have, it's all one. It's called the great room is what it is.
Mm.
So like, and it has this big island in it. And I sat down at my island facing, I moved like 5 feet to the left, and I was sitting there at my island, and that's where I watched the game. And Jim was like, Jim kept on asking, "Hey, are you coming to join me on the couch?" And I'm like, "Fuck no." They're on like an 18-4 run. Why would I mess with that? so Raj, I gave you a hard time when we first stopped on here, but you know what? We are one and the same. We are
Let
we
me let
we
me
we,
ask,
we get each other.
can you eat while watching the game? I can't do it. Like you can. So you said you picked up In and Out right before
Yeah,
you started watching. Are you able to eat and watch the game? Like I can't. I can't like do anything. I'll take a sip
Raj,
of water for
you
like
can see me
once.
on camera. Do I look like I'm picky when it comes to eating? Does, does,
There's a lot of
do I
there's a
really
lot
look
of
like I'm particular about when I can and cannot eat?
there's a lot of other hours. The game's only 3 hours. You have another 21 to eat. I'm just,
It's
I'm
ten
wondering.
thirty. You're telling me that I'd have to eat dinner at 10:30? I'd fucking die. I would I would not be alive right now.
Well, you can eat
Um,
it before the game. It's like what you said 7:30, so you can have dinner
mhm.
at 7. Yeah, and be
Well, I
done
got
by
I
then.
got kind of thrown off because I was waiting all day to do lawn, yard work today to
Mm,
mow the lawn
okay.
and stuff because it was supposed to rain and it never rained. So I got like a late start on that, and by the time I was doing that, yeah, I still had to go pick up dinner and all of that. So
Mm, okay.
yeah, eating before normally I would be organized to do that, but in
Okay.
this case I was not. All right, let's talk about the game. 127-97 is the final. They won by 30. Something the Warriors did not do. Take that, Warriors. In game two. Uh, there's a lot I think to talk about in reference to this game. There were some moves that were that we start we're in that part of the series where you start to see like the chess start to start to play out. You see what these coaches are starting to figure out. You're starting to see players start to figure out opposing teams as well. And I thought, I was kind of nervous because the very first like chess move that the Lakers made was Lonnie Walker, and I love Lonnie, friend of the show, Lonnie Walker. I'm happy he got minutes, played pretty well in those minutes and all that stuff, and we will talk about that as the adjustment or an adjustment and how he played and all that stuff. But I was freaking out because Ham played it coy before the game. He's like, "Oh yeah, we got stuff up our sleeves, baby. We have so many. We have yeah. Just you wait." And he throws Lonnie Walker out there, and I'm like, "No, this is it. This is the big move. Big ace up
Yeah.
your sleeve is Lonnie Walker the fourth. Like that's it." And it didn't pay dividends right away. The Lakers were still getting beaten fairly handily there in the midway through the second quarter. Started to turn it around, in a more meaningful way. I think when a more important adjustment was made. But yeah, put me in the room with you. How freaked out were you when it was like Lonnie Walker is the big knuckleball that the Lakers were throwing here?
It wasn't just Lonnie, right? So yeah, obviously Lonnie going in was like, what in the world are we doing, right? We're matching up with
Yeah.
them. The Warriors went to their 3-guard lineup. I believe it was DiVincenzo, Steph, and Clay or Poole. And then we're like, yeah, let's match up with them, right? So we went with Dennis, Lonnie, I forgot who the other guard was, but we had another or guard. Or it may have
I
been
think it was
Austin or
either
D'Lo.
it started as D'Lo and then eventually became Austin.
Austin, right? Yeah. So we're like, okay, let's match up, and yeah, we got killed in those lineups, and those were also what I thought was gone was the Rui LeBron front court, right? So we went with that as well. So no Wenyen in those minutes. Wenyen, who didn't play that well in game two, but also not too many minutes. We went with Rui and LeBron, and then Anthony, we put Rui on Klay Thompson, which I was like, what are we doing? We put Rui on Klay, and then obviously that started them to like hit their avalanche. Klay got going, he got loose a little bit. Steph started hitting some threes. Lonnie looked like a guy who hasn't been in rhythm, a guy who hasn't got no minutes. We put him on the ball. So like we had Dennis and Lonnie out there running the actions. And, I give him I have some sympathy for him making some tough passes, but man, did he come through. Like I thought he played really hard. I thought he chased around Klay as well as you could. Thought he fought on Steph. His pick and roll with AD, he drew some fouls on jump shots, and hit a couple catch and shoot threes. But yeah, I was not expecting that from him. Ham had a lot of great adjustments. I'd still Anthony I'm very skeptical on Lonnie going forward in this series, but for this game, it looks like a pretty smart move. I thought he played well. He gave their lineup some athletic juice, right? You saw that transition basket that he had. Give some like a little bit of athleticism to a team that was sorely kind of missing it in their second units. But yeah, I was shocked. Did not expect that. But the Rui on Klay was the one that pissed me off. I was like, why? Why are we doing that? We know that doesn't work.
With no help. Also, like
AD all the way back. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Klay came out free. He started 3 for 5 from 3. I was like, oh, not again, please. And that's when the sweat started coming. I was like starting to sweat really hard on that. But yeah, it worked out.
But it's funny. So Jeff Van Gundy, Stan Van Gundy, and basically every ex-coach will not criticize coaching, right? They do not do it. It does not. It's kind of like, it's really rare where you see like a referee when they go to like Steve Jabby will never like outright throw his guys under the bus, right? It's not going to happen. And even then, like by those standards, Jeff was like screaming at Darvin Ham through the broadcast, like, dude, you got to show on these screens, bud. You can't keep giving him these wide open looks from this spot. And that to me offers the kind of perfect segue into what I thought was the actual meaningful adjustment here. And I thought everything that went well after making this move can be traced back to making this move. And it was moving AD up, having him show higher on he wasn't going so far to either switch or even blitz or anything like that. Actually, it's the kind of thing that I don't think Giannis and maybe Draymond Actually,
Maybe,
yeah,
maybe.
those three guys are the only people in the league, the only people on planet Earth who can do what AD did tonight, where you're showing out hard enough to be able to defend the jump shooters, and you have to do that against this team because those jump shooters are so great. But you also have to be like athletic and active enough to get back when that pocket pass is thrown, or you have to have active enough hands and long enough arms to tip or affect those pocket passes. What AD was doing there, astounding defensively,
Yeah,
just incredible when you consider all of the boxes that need to be checked in order to successfully implement that approach defensively. Holy shit, dude. And like Jeff Van Gundy, I thought the best moment of his broadcast tonight was when he goes like AD like subbed out after they made that adjustment and went on their run. AD subs
hmm,
out and Jeff Van Gundy goes like, that guy should have got a standing O. And he's
right.
absolutely right. What AD did defensively, I don't think people can quite understand how difficult what he was being asked to do was.
Not just that, the adjustment also by Darvin Ham, right? I want to go back to that, like give him credit here. So we were wondering, we were like, what are we gonna do to kind of combat the small ball, right? And I love that we didn't go with a lineup change, at least against the starters. Anthony, we put Vanderbilt on Draymond, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then we put AD on Jermichael Green, and
Mm-hmm.
then we put Reaves on Curry. And I thought that was huge. And then D'Lo, I thought did a nice job on Clay. But those kind of rearranging the, I don't know, chess. Can you rearrange the chess? You can't rearrange the chessboard, but whatever board
Well,
you can,
actually, there is a move that you can pull where you like swap the king and the rook. I think it
Okay.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll learn
Mm-hmm.
about chess in another time. But like, but whenever I get a chance, or checkers, whatever. But yeah, so we put Vando on Draymond, and then put Reeves on Curry, and then AD on Jermichael Green, and then what you're talking about right there, being able to, Green got a couple better looks from three, but I thought AD's ability to help on the pick and roll and then get out to Jermichael Green. That's the generational defensive skill he has, to be able to dig and recover. And he covers ground like no one else. He's everywhere all at once. He can protect the rim while also getting a contest out to the three. And then they're like, look, if you want to involve AD in the screen, you're gonna have to involve Jermichael Green, right? Who's not as good of a 4-on-3 player as Draymond is, who doesn't have
Yeah.
the like intellectual offensive,
Not even as good as Looney is. Like he's
exactly.
of
Yeah.
those three players by far the worst.
Right, obviously, yeah, exactly. And then Reeves being able to chase around Steph. I think Vando's wingspan and length, it kind of gets like kind of canceled out a little bit when Steph's on the ball. I think it takes away what his advantages are when he's chasing him around, being able to give back pressure when they just give Steph the ball. And I love that adjustment. So now you can switch that screen as well, right? So if a Draymond Steph screen and roll happens, what they were doing was just switching, because now you have Vando on Curry and then you have Reeves on Draymond. They're like, look, Draymond, if you want to back down Austin Reeves, go ahead. And then LeBron and AD completely took away the rim again. I think the Warriors only didn't shoot well from three tonight, but I thought they took away the basket. And that adjustment to me, being able to switch that action, be like, hey, run it with Jermichael Green. We dare you. And then Draymond Green, if you want to attack Austin Reeves in the post, go ahead. Draymond, I think, had 2 points when the game mattered. But yeah, AD was just, I mean, being able to the deflection on the passes, I thought was just incredible. He was everywhere, and then obviously the offensive game with it. But his defense, like you said, was just astounding. He was everywhere tonight.
You mentioned LeBron in this, and that
Yeah.
was the most gassed I have ever seen LeBron look. Where he actually asked to be subbed out at the end of the second quarter, I think it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what AD was doing obviously worked and would have worked in a vacuum, if all that you cared about was AD playing well defensively. But the Lakers wouldn't be able to do that if not for LeBron's activity on the backside of that, right? Because with AD showing that much higher, that puts that much more onus on LeBron rotating over or pre-rotating or just showing so that it doesn't look like such an easy 4-on-3 going the other way if that pocket pass is slid in there. And look, like Jermichael Green isn't very good at it either, or isn't very good at it, but he still is a professional basketball player. And if you make that
Sure.
pass look super easy, if you make that decision look super easy, he's still going to eventually be able to execute it. And I think like LeBron working his ass off to make it not feel that easy for him was was huge there. And yeah, like when I saw LeBron look that kind of tired, I was like, this is the hardest he's worked on defense in like 2.5 years, right? Since the title run. like
Oh yeah,
like even in the Grizzlies series, right? They put him on Brooks and it allows him to just kind of like chill. And he's able to save some energy there. And then, when the Lakers went on their run, it was because they were playing good defense, getting out in transition, and LeBron was a factor in that transition too. So like there was a play where they were getting ready, they were walking up the court, and actually I think Mike Breen was like, the Lakers look gas, and then like Schroeder like got to the free throw line, and Ham pulled out Davis and LeBron. And the
yeah,
reason they look that tired is because, and like, look, like this kind of speaks to the sustainability of that approach. Like, we can maybe ask those questions later. But again, like the Lakers needed this win, and just like in Game One, when I think they needed that win, they really, and this like I acknowledge that it was a homer take when I gave it, but after Game Two, I kind of wondered, did they chalk this up as a loss and try to save their energy because they know how hard they have to? That was a hard ass game that the Lakers just played in to win against Golden State there, and it kind of makes me wonder if yeah, that Game Two energy that we were kind of sick of makes me wonder how Game Four is going to go. But like like that Game Two energy coming into here, and you see how gassed LeBron and AD were playing defense that way. Like you almost have to blow them out because like I don't know if you can play 4 quarters of that. LeBron was exhausted. Like I'm
yeah.
glad this was a blowout because like like they were wiped.
Well, that's the key here is that, AD, I was like, why is LeBron checking back in the game? We were up like 26, and then LeBron came back in for some reason, but only a short stint for him. AD obviously got to pretty much rest the whole fourth quarter. But Anthony, like you tweeted that. Jeff Van Gundy also like out loud mentioned that at the end of the game. He's like, if you trade 2 blowouts, like it's pretty clear that like both teams weren't ready for each of those games. So like maybe that, played into it. But LeBron's defense, so when you talked about in Memphis, he was guarding Dylan Brooks. In this series, he's on Andrew Wiggins, right? And that's a much more like Andrew Wiggins isn't the cutter, isn't the shot maker in terms of off screens, but he's a guy that cuts a lot. He got a lot of offensive rebounds, and LeBron having to like go protect the rim and then try to get back out to Wiggins. Wiggins hit a few like jab step threes, which I think LeBron would kind of live with.
Yeah.
Other than that, like yeah, he was getting into the paint. He blocked it, I think he blocked Steph at the rim. Like he was everywhere. He had that save in transition against Wiggins, and then the block on Jordan Poole, which was just incredible. But what do you think, Anthony, about him not taking a shot till the uh, middle of the second quarter? I think he just decided not to shoot. In that, what's your theory like on that? Is that something that he just consciously decided like going into this game? I'm just gonna facilitate, or like were the Warriors taking it away? I kind of go back and forth on that.
I All right, so I think it's a combination of a few things. One, I still don't think he is healthy. Like he's I don't like I he'll have it in bursts or whatever like that. He's also 38 years old, and
Sure.
and like I think that's a bigger factor than I think we want to talk about or acknowledge. The other part of it, it kind of stems from that, is LeBron is always going to do the most efficient thing on offense. He is always going to make this is like what got him killed early in his career, where he kept on making the right pass and kept on making the right pass and kept on making the right pass, and wasn't willing to just fire up a hero ball shot for the sake of looking like the hero whenever he had to. He's always going to kind of make the decision, taking in everything and finally, you know, come out and run all the math in his head and come out with a solution on the other end. And sometimes that solution isn't a very good solution, right? And I
Yeah.
think like to this point in the playoffs, a lot of times when it's been his kind of turn to ISO ball late in the game, he's shooting that jumper. And what's happening there is he's looking at the guy in front of him and he's looking at the help behind that guy, and he's like, I can't get to the rim. I have a better chance of getting a decent look out here from outside. And I think with this game, I don't think he's very confident offensively with his jumper or getting to the rim and stuff. And I think early on in this game, he sees D'Lo has it going the way that D'Lo had it going. Um, I also think there was kind of a concerted effort to get AD going early and often so that
Hmm.
he can get into a rhythm because like AD is more capable of carrying them physically. So I think what it really comes down to is I think as big a bummer as this is to kind of recognize, I think he's doing what he thinks is the most efficient thing to do there, and I think he knows he's not the most efficient thing that the Lakers can do offensively.
Right. I also think so. A lot of it has been made about Steph being on the ball, but this was like one of our first LeBron on the ball games, right? And he kind of
Mhm.
started with the basketball. D'Lo obviously getting a lot of off ball looks. Austin's legs looked fried to start the game.
Yeah,
His jumper
it's a
was
good thing. It was
short.
a what did he play in this one? Austin. He played. Whoop, my mouse is sleepy. 30
Yeah.
minutes in this one. That like I'm
Yeah.
I'm happy that it's like down to like that kind of number and he can kind of rest
Also, he hit a big three kind of in the third, which not big in terms of the scoreboard. I thought it
for
just was
him.
good to see for him, yeah, to see it go through while having the legs that he has. He's gonna have to learn to play tired. But LeBron, we put him on the ball more, and there were plays like again with Green and Jamichael Green and Draymond at the center. Like sometimes when you have 2 feet in the paint, just go up. Like a kick out to Dennis isn't the right play to me, but I get it from like an efficiency standpoint. And again, I think what I have like so Vando took like three straight threes, and we weren't up 20, we were up like 11 during the stretch. But I think like the Vando threes, the kick out to Dennis in half court, that's very like low energy offense, right? Like that play is there every single time that they want it. The Vando open three and Dennis open three. Those are shots that will be there every single possession. And I think that's just easy offense for LeBron and AD to go to. Like they don't have to do anything. It's just a quick drive, kick out to them, very low energy. And yeah, that kind of speaks to what you're talking about there. But yeah, like he didn't take a shot, and I was a little bit worried. I was like, LeBron down 8, like this, like like Steph and Clay obviously feel like this is their time to kind of take over. And I thought in the second half, though, his energy and ability to attack the basket, he got like a fadeaway jumper over Andrew Wiggins, and I thought he really controlled the pace to me in terms of like when to run like a ball screen, when to pick on Jordan Poole, when to go mismatch hunting. Like I thought he played that perfectly in the second half, and the jumper started to go down tonight as well. I think from tonight he goes 2 for 4 from three, so 3 for 8 in the game 2 that they lost, 2 for 4 tonight. I said at the time, I think that was lose the battle, win the war type of stuff with LeBron's jump shot, and that kind of came through tonight. Two threes for him, and hopefully that's something going forward because these are like practice shots that he's getting, and he should knock those down.
Yeah, I'm this is where it's kind of interesting. We think of chess matches in terms of coaching, right? You always kind of go back
Mhm.
to like the coaches are the ones who are playing the chess there.
Mm,
But this is as much a chess game between LeBron and Steph as it is between Steve Kerr and Darvin Ham.
sure.
Steph is going to figure out like what he needs to do here. LeBron is going to figure out what he's going to need to do here. For some reason, people don't really acknowledge how old Steph is. Like he's 35. Like he's not some young dude. He moves like it and all that stuff. He's a youthful looking
Mhm.
guy. He's gonna be babyface until like he's 96 years old. But like these guys have been around and they've played against each other specifically for so long that like they are going to be figuring this stuff out on the fly too. And I think like you're talking about LeBron being on the ball there and waiting until game 3 to do that and waiting for kind of later in game 3 to do that too. Like he acknowledges, like it kind of goes back to the point I was making a second ago. He, I think, acknowledges he is not going to do this in the same way he did when he was a Cav, right?
Sure.
When he was with Cleveland, he could do on ball stuff for 48 minutes and was such a freaking specimen back then that like he was just a freak of nature when it came to the amount of energy that he had. Um, but in this, he knows he needs D'Lo, he needs Reaves, he needs other guys like Schroeder. He needs those guys to carry the burden, and he'll pick his spots with being there on the ball. And when he's there on the ball, what he's doing is he's kind of looking around and he's trying to figure out kind of on the fly. All right, let's this is a matchup here. This is the look here. This is how I can get to this spot here. This is their counter if I do this stuff. Um, and the nice thing here is that like now the Lakers kind of have that on film too. So he'll be able to go back to those guys and be like, hey, when they see I have the ball here, this is how they're going to pre-rotate. This is what I need you guys to do so that I can be able to make this move here, or so that it's that much easier for you once I flip that, I fire one of those 97-mile-an-hour skip passes over to you. Like,
Yeah.
this is what you have to be ready to do right on the catch. Yeah, I think this is like one of my favorite series maybe ever. Like, it's way up there for me because so much of this stuff is so visible. Like, these guys figuring this stuff out while they're playing is so visible. It's so clear, that I really can't get enough of it. I want to talk really quickly before we move on to moving forward kind of stuff. But Lonnie Walker specifically, um, then when you throw somebody in there like that who hasn't been playing very much, like he hasn't had his opportunity,
Sure.
I think Lonnie like deserves a ton of credit. Cannot get enough credit for not getting in there and doing the kinds of things that like players who want more playing time will do that they think earns them more playing time, right? We'll see Malik Beasley get into games and immediately fire up a shot because he thinks the only way that he can play is to hit a 3-pointer here and there, right? Lonnie in this one focused on doing like the little things and, staying attached defensively, doing those, like not hurting them, excuse me, offensively. Like, those are him doing that in this spot. It takes such maturity from a basketball perspective that like I cannot possibly shower him with enough flowers. And look, I'm still, like you said, I'm still kind of iffy about like if that is still the move here moving forward. I guess I'm just kind of ideologically opposed to trying to go small to match up with the Warriors going small because you're never going to be as good at the Warriors or what the Warriors do. But in this case, after having seen it work out, the reason it worked out is because Lonnie got in there and focused on the right things. And that was really, really cool to watch.
Yeah, I have to give him credit. Hasn't played in a while. He started 32 games this year. And so 56 games he played, started 32 games, right? And you have your not only move to the bench, but we make a trade and he's completely out of the rotation. And he had to come in tonight, hit the spot up threes, attacked in transition. I thought him and AD had a nice pick and roll game. They are so far back, especially when Looney is the screener, that like if you can take advantage of that, and Lonnie has a skill set too. He's such a smooth scorer. It's really the defensive concerns to me. I think like he can score, in this league, but he was really good. Chased around Klay Thompson, did a really nice job when he was switched on Curry. Thought he stayed with him, did not jump for pump fakes, was very disciplined. Forced him to probe through the lane, and that's all you can really ask in those second unit type minutes. And I don't know if he'll continue to play in this series. We'll see, but I think he's ahead of Malik Beasley at least. Like I think at least there, he's
I think
probably
you're
ahead of.
ahead of Malik Beasley, Raj.
Right? Yeah, give me a few shots. But yeah, like I think he's ahead of at least Malik Beasley in this. And Troy Brown, we'll see. Troy Brown didn't play either tonight, but he gives a juice of athleticism to me that really popped off the screen. Like when he attacks the rim, there's like some ferociousness in there. He's going with like some intent, right? And he draws those contact. If you go up weak, like in the playoffs, you're not getting those calls or with like finesse. But Lonnie goes and like he takes the contact and then he tries to finish. He goes through the contact, right? He goes with force. And I think that's something that the second unit kind of needed with like Dennis and D'Lo and Austin. Dennis does it where he draws contact more like in a grifting sense, but like D'Lo and Austin, very skill type, finishes around the rim sometimes. And Austin, and Lonnie, I thought did a nice job, especially in transition, getting us out in pace. And yeah, good stint from him. There was a little moment, I don't know if you caught it, where like Dennis was kind of consoling him when he went off the floor for like the fourth unit to come in or whatever you want to call it, like the
Yeah.
the sub for the subs came in, and then he was kind of being consoled there, like yeah, like just wait your turn kind of and keep pushing. But no, give him all the credit in the world for coming in and helping win a freaking playoff game in the second round.
The plus minus here is interesting. The guy who leads the Lakers in plus minus in this one is actually Austin Reaves, and I didn't think he played particularly well. But I think it kind of goes back to the Warriors. The Warriors right now, like they know that LeBron and AD are are so effing good, and Russell in the pick and roll is so good that they not only have to leave Vanderbilt open, but I think they feel like they have to leave Reaves open too. And you mentioned
Mhm.
Reaves knocking down the three that he did, in that one. I think it was the third quarter, and then I think it was the second actually. And then I thought it was interesting when the Warriors, when Moody had that flagrant foul, um,
Yep.
the Lakers actually had Reeves shoot the free throws, and I thought that was purposeful because I think they know he needs to see the ball go through the rim. Like usually,
Yeah.
like AD will take those because he earned them by getting flagrant fouled, or like LeBron, if he wants to get into a rhythm, will kind of step up there and take them. But I thought it was interesting that Reeves was the one who got those. I think that really spoke really loudly to me that the Lakers recognize he has to get it. He has to be better. And like plus 31 on tonight is a good number. He's the only guy whose plus minus was higher than the amount that the Lakers won by, and that's usually kind of how I use plus minus. But like he is gonna have to like you said have to learn how to play fatigued. He's chasing Clay. He's chasing Steph, and you know I think him being a plus 31 is indicative of him guarding Steph and having some, not, I wouldn't call it success, but like allows for team wide success guarding Steph.
Sure.
But he is, I think, going to have to be more of a factor offensively here moving forward.
Second quarter, to your point, they also just gave him the ball, and they were trying to hide Steph on Austin Reeves, right? They were like, "Who do we put Steph on?" So they put him on Austin, right? Because he's the guy they're trying to leave. Like to your point, they're leaving him to kind of help other places, and we're like, "No, you're not going to be able to do that." Here's the ball, Austin. We're running every single action. We're putting Steph in the pick and roll. He's gonna have
Yeah.
to guard you. Put him on his back. Missed a couple, ones that he usually makes. Drew a couple fouls. Drew some on Clay that were funny, or Clay was kind of complaining. But like, put Steph on his back. Finished a mid-range pull-up. That beautiful step back three that you're talking about as well, and just make Steph Curry work on the other end. We were talking about what's the adjustment to their small ball. Small ball, it's to make them work, to punish them on the other side. And I thought Austin did that in the second quarter too. Gave him the ball. D'Lo wasn't really involved much in those, even though he had a really good first half. They're like, "Here, Austin, get in a rhythm." He went to the line 7 times. I think 2 of those were the technical fouls that you were speaking of, or the 3-second violation that or whatever it was. All those weird calls to end the second quarter that we missed like 2 free throws out of that. But yeah, we gave him the ball and told him like get in a rhythm, and he's important to this series. Like I think we can't just take him off the floor. You saw what he did to guard Steph Curry. I think like that's probably what we do moving forward too. If they continue to start small. But yeah, like he got a little bit more going in the third quarter there, and I thought it helped. I thought him seeing the ball go through the rim that helps, and he's gonna have to learn. This is his first postseason. Like you hear players talk about this a lot, but you got to learn to play tired. Like that's something you got to
Yeah.
learn to do, and you could see him like fighting that. Like crap, I have 0 legs. Or even on the free throws, you can even see him. You say this a lot, Anthony, where like he's aiming it. You could tell the free throws on some of those. He's just like
Yeah.
aiming the shot. You have to learn to play tired, and I thought he fought through that tonight. And I get 29 minutes. You talked about the plus 31. Had a solid defensive game, but I'm still hoping we get that explosive Austin game, maybe in game 4. So we'll see.
All right. Last key, and I think is the most important key to this game. I was really concerned going into this because of those shitty little T-shirts that the Lakers had waiting
You
for
didn't like
fans there.
those?
No, no. Those you have 17 actual championship banners, man. Like there's no state. This isn't high school sports. This isn't fucking Glee. Like you shouldn't state championships is not something that's the kind of thing that like the Kings and the Clippers would care about.
Like a
Like
Pacific
stop.
decision title? Is that what this
Yeah.
is?
Like
Okay.
not even any of these loser ass Texas teams out here have done anything like that. State championships. This is like but anyway, I was really concerned with the vibes going into it. The Lakers crowd got there kind of late, right? Because it was like 5:30 on a Saturday night, right? And that's kind of tough. So I tried to do what I could to reset the vibes here, and we got this off. Say go Lakers! Woo! In
Aw,
games,
that's so
in
good.
games that Avery has worn a Lakers jersey before the game or during the game, the Lakers are 3-0. Just going to point that out.
So why is she just not keeping a jersey on at all times? I don't understand. What?
Well, you gotta do it in places. You gotta know your spots. You know, like this
No,
is.
we gotta milk this. We gotta milk this till.
Well, here's the thing that I was a little cognizant of tonight. Tonight was the first night that we had overlap in jersey because I didn't want her to wear. I have a white Sunday. I have a Sunday white Kobe jersey, but I didn't want her to wear that on not a Sunday. That was another thing I was a little nervous about going into this game. So this was the first night that we repurposed a jersey, and it wound up working out. But Lakers, if you guys want to win this series and win this championship, send us a shit ton of of jerseys for Avery to cycle through here, because you guys are 3-0 on nights that she wears this thing. So yeah, that was Avery there. She has loved. She's still learning about like how to root for teams. Like there are some times where like the Warriors will score and she'll be like, "Woo!" and I'm like, "No."
I was really worried you were about to play the Leroy Jenkins video again. I was like, oh man, I don't.
No, it's so yeah. That's the final key to this matchup here. I think is me remembering to put a jersey on Avery here before these games. 3-0 she is right now. So
nice.
So she's your little. She looks like a little rabbit's foot. So she's working out in the same way. That is going to do it here for this episode of the Lakers Lounge. Again, the Lakers win 127-97 to take a 2-1 series lead. Game 4, I think, is the game of the series. I think that's it. If the Lakers are able to win Game 4, hold serve, and go back to San Francisco up 3-1 here, I think that the series is theirs. That is the schedule the script that I had kind of designed for this here, so that they would wind up winning in 6. I think winning Game 5 in Golden State and then hoping to win Game 6 on the after traveling and all that stuff is a lot to ask for. And I think having to win Game 7 in San Francisco under those same circumstances, also a lot to ask for. I think Game 4 is really kind of what it comes down to.
I do too, Anthony. If you have the script, don't tell me. I just want to watch. I want to watch how it plays out. So don't give me the script if you have it already. No. So I want to close with this because we spent a lot of time. You said the P punked word on our last show for AD, and to me the key on there was a lot of great schemes, a lot of adjustments from Darvin Ham. Key to me though was AD going through Draymond's freaking chest. Like that to me was the embodiment of the importance of this, like where this series will be won, right? It's the go through his freaking chest, like force with force. None of that like finesse skill, try to like go around him. No fadeaways. I loved it. I know we challenged the charge. I was like, even if that's an offensive foul, that's exactly what I want to see. You're 6'11", he's 6'5". If he's gonna stand there, know that he's going to be bulldozed over every single time. And I absolutely love the mentality from AD within that. So I thought that was huge. He matched force with force. That's how you have to beat this team. Force with force.
Yeah, he it kind of reminded me of Shaq. Like Shaq essentially said, like with Divac and like, for everybody and myself included, I really enjoyed watching the Kings this year. But like for Lakers fans who like felt themselves trying to like you're coming around to the Kings over the course of the year, remember, flopping as it exists right now, all the Kings' fault. That was all Vlade Divac, and that was all the Kings' fault. That's where it started. But Shaq essentially said, look, if this guy's going to flop, if this guy's going to keep on picking up these cheap offensive fouls on me, I'm going to beat the hell out of him, and he's going to earn them. And I think AD did that tonight, where it was just kind of like, all right, this guy's going to fall over. I'm going to knock him the hell over is how this is going to go.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So hopefully that's it for Game 4 as well. Force with force.
All right. Fours with fours in Game 4. You get it? No? Yeah. All right. I'm just going to go, Lee. I'm going to go now. 127-97 is the final. I was ahead here. I'll just play this again. Say, go Lakers.
Go Lakers.
Woo. Have a great night.